Hey all you cavies out there, just an update on one of my wolf spiders. Looks like it's a she, and it looks like it's carrying an egg sac. Now I have no idea what I'm going to do with all these little bitty spiders when they come out of there. Anyone got any ideas, let me know. I don't know what I'm going to do with those little guys. But she's carrying it around with her. There it is. Now, I've got something I want to talk about. I want to talk about enclosures, cages, habitats. What is a good size for your snake? There is plenty of people out there who believe certain ways. So I'm not saying my way is right, and I'm not saying their way is wrong. I'm just telling you this is how I feel about it. I've always been taught, and I'm from the old school. I've always been taught if you take the length of the snake minus about a foot or so, right? Or the length of a snake, if he can cover the back or the front long side, and then come around on the side, the shorter side, and cover it, that's long enough for him. That's big enough for him. Height isn't as important with some snakes. Width, yeah, it's variable. But people act like snakes need lots and lots of space. Let me ask you, what do snakes do? They don't travel a lot. There's only a few times, there's a couple times that snakes move. If they're not an ambusher, which ball pythons are ambushers, and they actually go out and hunt, they move when they hunt. They move when they're searching for a mate. They move from hot spot to cold spot. So if your cage isn't big enough for them to have a hot and cool spot, the cage ain't big enough. Excuse me, I've been having a little cold thing going on. Now, another thing is, snakes move when they eat. When they eat, a snake will bring it down, and they'll crawl around the cage to help push it down. But if you look at them, most of the time they're what? Balled up, being still. So one of my big things is if the snake has plenty of room to have two distinct different temperatures in the cage is big enough. If the snake can crawl around a shed, which is another reason why it crawls, to shed. If it can crawl around after it eats to push the food down. If it can get from one point to the next as far as hot to cold place, the cage or the habitat is big enough. You don't have to have, and this is my opinion, if I have a 12-foot snake, an 8-foot cage is plenty big enough. If I have a 20-foot snake, well, an 8-foot cage wouldn't be big enough. I'd have to go more like a 10-foot cage, maybe a 12-foot cage. But again, snakes aren't that active. They don't go running around being, exercising and running about trying to catch stuff. Snakes are not active. They like small spaces. That's why you put hides in there. Most of the time my snakes are in the hide, and that's where they're at. Now you can't get no smaller than the hides I have in there. So, when they use the restroom, they'll crawl to the corner. Somewhere in the corner. Usually it's in the cooler side. And they'll put their tail in the corner, and they'll use the restroom in the corner. Some of them will dump it just about any place, but my snakes do it mostly in the corner or the cooler side. So, when it really comes down to it, as long as the snake is healthy, that's all that counts. I would not say take a 7-foot snake and put it into a 3-foot cage. It couldn't move to shed. It couldn't move to help pull the food down. It couldn't move to dump itself someplace else in the other part. It couldn't get from a cold spot to the hot spot. So if you meet the criterion of hot spot, cold spot, room to move the shed, room to move the food down, if you can meet all those, you know, don't worry about it. Everyone's point of view is going to be different. Everyone's ideas are going to be different. There is no right, there is a wrong if it's really small. Now, in the case of some snakes, too big. You can have too big ones. If it's too big, they freak out. They don't like large spaces. That's why you got to make sure you have a hide. Most of the time, if you have a really huge, and take this from my boa file 4-footers out there, if I put one of my king snakes in a boa file 4-footer and one of my king snakes is close to 3 feet, it doesn't like it. It wants to go in its hide and hide all the time. So I'm just saying, you know, controversial about habitat size, yeah, it is what it is. As long as you meet those criteria I talked about, you're fine. Have a good day, guys. Bye.